Okay, so a client tells you on the phone or in person, I'll get back to you. Well, what do you say as an insurance agent in reply to that? So we're specifically going to be talking about three different things. Number one, what you say on the phone in the beginning of the call. Number two, what you say if it's a knee-jerk objection, face-to-face or over the phone, kind of near the beginning of that call or presentation. And then number three, what you do when you hear it at the close. So the goal of this is when you hear this, I'll get back to you type of excuse, how to deal with it in all the potential areas of the presentation or prospecting call so that you never have to worry about hearing this again. And that's coming right up. Of course, my name is Dave Duford, owner of the Ford Insurance Group. I train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense Medicare and annuities face-to-face and over the phone. If you'd like to learn more about my agency, there's links above or below. Just check them out whenever you can. And thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you very much doing so. All right, so let's get started with how do you deal with hearing I'll get back to you when you pick up the phone and call in the beginning. So usually where you hear this, just for some context, is typically after you start your presentation or start your call. Hey, Mr. Jones, my name is David Duford. I'm getting back to you about this card you sent in the mail. You requested about our final expense programs. The reason I'm calling, blah, 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 you kind of hear it in there. And somewhere in there, they'll say, oh, okay, well, hey, let me get back to you here. I'm kind of busy right now or something going on. Well, the way I deal with this is what's called the ask, objection, rebuttal sequence. ASC. A means answer the rebuttal, S means sell the appointment, and C means close. This is a rebuttal strategy that works and probably will work here in the next objections that we're going to hear, but it really works in all sorts of places. But at this particular junction, when I hear, let me get back to you, I'm going to say, hey, no problem. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this program works. What you decide to do with it's up to you. Why don't I stop by tomorrow at, let's say, 2 o'clock, or does a 10 work better? So what I've done there is I've acknowledged what they've said. Hey, that's okay. Then I sell the appointment because maybe they think I'm about to sell them on the spot now, or maybe they're trying to get off with me because they are busy or just making it up. Either way, I'm going to acknowledge and then sell that, hey, no problem. I just need 5 minutes. What you do with this information is up to you. And then I close by saying, why don't I come by at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock tomorrow? And that close is an alternative yes, yes close. I'm not asking them a question where they could say no. I'm only giving them a yes or a yes, right? So this allows me to set the appointment and continue the call. Now, this is if I was setting appointments. Now, what if I'm in a presentation, and this would be either at a phone presentation or in the home. I've gotten in the house or I've started the conversation, and they say kind of the same thing. Let me get back to you. I'm kind of busy right now. It's really, the rebuttal is exactly the same as I've just described. It's sequentially ASC, answer the objection, sell the appointment, close the appointment. So if I'm on the phone and I'm maybe starting to ask them, so what part of Texas you from? Are you a big Rangers fan or whatever? And they say, oh, I love Rangers. Hey, can I just get back to you? I'm kind of busy right now. I'm just going to say, hey, no problem. All I need is 5 minutes to just do my thing. I'll give you the quick version. What you decide to do with it's up to you. And the close at this point, it's not a yes, yes thing. I just get back onto my script. I say, so you were saying, so I was asking you, so are you a big baseball fan? Are you more of a Texas fan for football? Or say something like that, right? The point is, though, is to ask a question back in the script. The close is always asking a question. Okay? If you just say the A and the S, you answer and you sell the appointment, you'll probably have the person say, okay, well, let me just call you back, I'm busy. But if you go so far as to ask the question that you left off at or something like that, then you have some kind of forward momentum that keeps the presentation going. And likewise, this rebuttal, this knee-jerk objection works just fine in a face-to-face presentation in the exact same manner. It's nothing different, face-to-face or over the phone. This is exactly how you deal with it. So lastly on the list here, how do you deal with it at the close? Out of these three options, Mr. Prospect, which one works best for you is the typical close we use at the Ford Insurance Group for final expense. And they say, well, I like what you have to say here, but let me get back to you after I need to think about it. So usually I let me get back to you is a stall tactic. It's a smoke screen, as we call it. There's some kind of underlying objection here. Maybe it's substantive, maybe it's just a stall, and you have people who are just kind of generally not committal. So you've got to figure out what it is, isolate it, and close, okay? So here's how the script sounds. If they say, well, let me get back to you after I think about this, I'll say, hey, that's fine, no problem. But when you say I need to think about it, or when you need to say I'll get back to you, how do you mean about it? Or how do you mean? Then they'll give me a response and they'll say, well, I like what I see here. I just need to make sure that this is something that makes sense for my budget, or I need to make sure that I really need it. Kind of two different objections, really. But now we've gotten a real objection, and now we need to isolate that and say, okay, besides you thinking about the pricing being a problem, is there anything else that would cause you to stop from making a decision today except the pricing? And if they say no, then we know what we need to sell. And then at that point, if it was a pricing objection, I would say something like, hey, totally understand. So here's my proposition to you. The good news is we don't have to start at these high prices if that's what I'm hearing. In fact, I don't want you to spend more money than what you can afford. It's the worst idea to buy something and drop it, right? It's a waste. So let's do this. Here's my proposition. Instead of showing you the 50, 60, and 70, which is out of your budget, let's look at the 20, 30, and 40. Some coverage is going to be better than nothing. You're still going to be able to pay for most of the final expenses. You're still going to have peace of mind, and you're still going to give your daughter the kind of relief knowing that your final expenses are covered. So here's a 20, 30, and 40, and the prices. Which one works best for you? So there, if you think about it, I acknowledged what they said, right, with all the isolation stuff. I sold why they should buy the product from me anyway. Something's better than nothing. We don't want you spending more money than you can afford. And then I closed. So which one of these do you want? I didn't ask them, do you like it? I said, which one do you want? I assume they want it, right? Because I'm not here at the close at this point if they didn't really want it. At least that's what I think is a pretty safe assumption. And that kind of confidence and momentum is going to kick a lot of those people who are just basically kicking the tires a little bit to completely commit. So that's what you say when the client says, I'll get back to you in one of those three situations. I hope this gave you some good perspective on how to deal with it. It's all BS, guys. Don't believe any of this crap these people say. It's just stalling tactics, okay? It's a knee-jerk objection. It's a stall tactic to buy. You need to not take it seriously. You need to push through it because there's something there that the client wants. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent the card in or they wouldn't have listened to your whole presentation. So don't quit here, okay? You've got to go all the way. And the more that you do this, the more you're going to sell, of course. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to learn more about my agency to sell things like final expense Medicare and annuities, click the links above or below. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care.